With your South Texas Health Minute, I'm Tom Castañeda.
There's no denying Halloween is a favorite holiday for children, but parents should beware. It's also one of the most dangerous nights of the year. With an estimated 41 million kids hitting the streets and going door to door in search of treats on All Hallows Eve, children are 2 times more likely to be killed in a motor vehicle accident on Halloween than any other night of the year. From auto pedestrian accidents and slips and falls to burn injuries, nearly 4,000 Halloween-related injuries occur every single year in the U.S. Here are some ways to protect yourself and your loved ones this Halloween. Costumes, wigs, and accessories should be fire-resistant. Make sure kids have a flashlight and reflective tape on their costumes when trick-or-treating at night. Remind children and adults to put away their electronic devices and keep their heads up when walking through neighborhoods. Always look both ways before crossing the street, and don't eat any treats until they've been properly checked by an adult. Following that advice should guarantee that you and your loved ones have a happy and safe Halloween.
For more information and health updates, visit southtexashealthsystem.com.
Blockhouse is a very popular neighborhood for Halloween, so I'm excited to see all the kiddos, and I know we'll all be very careful. And I might age myself, but do y'all remember wearing those plastic masks that you could barely see the eyeballs?
Yes.
So at least hopefully the cost.
Band.
Yeah, the little rubber bands around. Yeah, so definitely aged myself with that. Hopefully they're a little bit safer. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Director Shoemaker should be here for a second, but you can go ahead, Director Johnson, and be my vice chair until he gets here. Okay. Do I have any citizens communication? I think I have 2. Oh no, I'm sorry. Let's go ahead and start with Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please join me in 30 seconds of silence. Okay, thank you so much. Now let's go ahead and move into citizens communication. Looks like we have, the first one is Steve Bennett.
Okay.
Hey.
Hello, everyone. I'm assuming this might be Cecilia's last meeting on the board, so I have to say something. Thank you, Cecilia, for your 40 years of service to this community. Thank you for your commitment to the residents, always watching out for their welfare, making sure that every vendor, contractor, professional, or anyone offering service provided what their contract called for, and sometimes a little more. I admire that you constantly sought answers to your questions, listened to both sides of the issue, took advice from experts or others, and always trying to get to the best understanding of the topic before you made your decision. Your high morals, high integrity, your Christian conscious, minded work ethic are admirable and nearly always leaning toward giving folks a second or sometimes a third chance. Over your tenure, you probably only missed 4 or 5 meetings, all while raising your children, working at your paying job, going to conferences, city hall meetings, or whatever it took to build this community best you knew how. You've done it all, from running out of water, multiple pool upgrades, park projects, starting the swim team, bonds, cities not playing nice, dirty politics, taxes, boards, managers, and more. You've endured power at your own home being turned off by upset residents, being accused of watching out for the residents too much. Through all of that, you showed up and said what was on your mind, asked your questions, and held your ground when you needed to, all with the highest level of integrity. The entire community will sorely miss your attention to detail in the parks, on the books, in the meetings, and your friendly conversations with residents, their kids, and pets and all. I hope that you can relish the fruits of your labor, enjoy the parks and the amenities you helped put in place. Janelle and I are fortunate to consider you a true friend. Blessings to you.
Thank you. That was very nice.
Got one more back here.
Okay, we have another one, Steve Overcasher.
Good evening once again. My name is Steve Overcasher. My wife Lynn. We live at 16520 Jadestone. I first appeared for you in August of 2023 to encourage you to significantly upgrade the appearance of our community by repairing and/or painting the perimeter fencing that you are responsible for. This should have been a no-brainer, since your website states your purpose is to maintain a truly extraordinary quality of life for Blockhouse residents. The district provides a sense of community by providing exceptional services and parks and recreational activities. Here we are nearly 15 months later, and while there has been significant progress, the job is not done. When I brought this to the attention of your general manager, president, and one board member who had shown interest in my concern, I received contradictory messages. Your general manager told me that the board had decided that due to fiscal constraints, there would be no more fence staining. Director Young told me that that was not what the board intended and that he agreed with me that the job needed to be completed. And in fact, if there are these constraints, then why were so many of the fencing sections on Blockhouse Drive behind the HEB center barrier both replaced and painted when there is little to no traffic passing there? Was the crew not supervised or given priorities? For the record, the following intersections have not been completed. On Blockhouse Drive, Molson Lake, Fairlawn, Port Hood, Echo Lake, Black Kettle, Germano Park North, Smithfield, and Heritage. On Creek Run Drive, Spotted Eagle, Big Falls, and Wild Orchid. And yes, I have a significant interest in Wild Orchid since there are 55 feet of unpainted fence adjoining my property. Each of these noticeable locations, and it diminishes the look of the community and may potentially decrease the valuation of the associated properties. What makes it far worse, or for me, mind-boggling, is that Sagamore Fencing has placed their signage on many of the unstained panels. Although it hardly seems necessary, I have a standing offer to paint the fence adjacent to my property if someone will either provide me with the stain and or give me the specs on the color and where I can purchase it. That said, I encourage you to fulfill your commitment to our quality of life and finish the job. Let me conclude by thanking Director Roberts for her many years of service to our community. I recognize that this was not always easy, but know that I and many others appreciate your dedication and commitment.
Thank you, Mr. Overcasher, that was very nice. And Mr. McMullen?
All right, came to honor Cecilia, and I'm assuming this is your last meeting as a board member.
That's right,
The director. And I just wanted to let you know how much you have meant to this community, to the board, your knowledge, your wisdom, and your hard work that you put in for, I don't even know how many years, but it's a lot, 40 years. I'm sure we'll find out.
Yeah.
And I think that you need to be honored. And I would like to ask the board to put in a future agenda item to name the pavilion that's gonna be built in, that's Tonto Park out there. Is that right? After Cecilia Roberts. We have a baseball field
Oh.
named after Luther, Chance Luther. Make that an agenda item as I would request that as a citizen for a future meeting. So
Thank you.
thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other citizens communication? Okay, so real quickly, do you want to have a picture taken with, former Director Bennett and former Director McMullen real quick?
Yeah, I do have a statement too.
We're gonna get to that, but, so let's go ahead and do what we're gonna do real quick.
Okay.
So yes, it is Director Roberts' last meeting, and we all want to extend our appreciation for you, doing what you have done for our community. And I'm not gonna lie, you and I have gone head to head on a lot of stuff, but we've also been very professional with each other. And I've learned a lot from you, and you and I have talked about that offline, so I do appreciate everything. We have an electronic card over there that many of the vendors and other people have signed. You have flowers. We have cake and champagne that we're gonna do after the meeting is over. Anyone is welcome to stay and enjoy that. And we do have this plaque to honor you, which is presented to Cecilia Roberts, Blockhouse Mud. Thank you for your service, 1984 to 2024, so you can do the math. So, there you go. So, I will go ahead and. And I do have to say, I I was talking to your daughter about a month ago and kind of planning some stuff. Your favorite flowers are not in season right now, peonies. We did look for them, I know. And what Ashley said was really pretty sweet. We just talked about you and everything you've done for the community, and she said that the Block House was like your fourth child.
They grew up with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, absolutely. So I would love to give you a minute to say what you like, and then I would love to take a picture with whoever you like, and then we'll get back to regular agenda, and then afterwards we'll have cake and champagne.
Thank you. So go ahead and Steve.
Yes, please.
Okay, so I will say this, I'm trying to keep my emotions down. So anyway, I'm going to read because it's just kind of, I'm a rattle if I don't. As my term on the Blockhouse Med Board of Directors comes to an end on November the 3rd, 2024, I find myself reflecting on the incredible journey that began back in 1984. With an inquisitive mind, I stepped into this role during our first efforts in setting the tax rate and preparing to sell the first issue of bonds. They probably remember that in the model home on Tomlinson Fort, which is the house that burned down. So over these years, it has been an honor to serve the residents of Blockhouse Creek, a place where my own family found joy, community, and growth. Raising my 3 wonderful children here, this is where it gets really emotional, has been one of the greatest gifts. My son spent countless afternoons fishing in Blockhouse Creek, while my daughters learned to ride their bicycles on the quiet, safe streets. Blockhouse Creek has been more than just a community to us, it's been a home. My purpose on this board has always been to bring integrity, trust, honesty, and transparency to our taxpayers and residents. I've had the privilege of serving under multiple utility management companies and general managers, each leaving a mark on my journey. Among them, Margaret Wingrove stands out as someone who exemplified incredible integrity and care in her role. Her guidance showed our board what true service to the people looks like, and for that, I offer her my deepest thanks. She and I are having lunch soon. So I'm immensely grateful to have been a part of the early days of Blockhouse Creek, witnessing and contributing to its development through several transitions. Park Lane Development, in particular, deserves a recognition as the visionary developer that saw Blockhouse Creek as a master planned community, with parks and amenities that become cherished parts of our neighborhood. I take pride in having played a role in the growth and creation of these parks, pools, and amenities, alongside a dedicated board and many creative minds who made it possible. Thank you to everyone who has been a part of my journey. Judge Chance, who is deceased, gave me the best advice ever, and I hope that some of you will take it. He said, Cecilia, and by the way, he was a Williamson County judge. I don't know if y'all knew that, over the Commissioner's Court. He lived around the corner from me, and but he was on the board when I got on, and he said, Cecilia, you're just gonna need to put some oil on your back and roll some of it off.
You've given me that.
Yes.
Yes.
It's the best thing. And then I give a lot of gratitude to Sue Littlefield. She was not the first attorney of our Brewster and Brown. Charlene Collins was there, but Sue took the role immediately as a pregnant attorney. So her daughter was kind of brought into Blockhouse. I'm going to also give a lot of gratitude to Steve Held, which Margaret Wingrove had worked with him. And when Steve, I got the meaning of what Crossroad was about from his wife last week, because I ran into her in Georgetown, and Gigi sat down and kind of chatted with me for a long time. And she explained how Crossroads got its Crossroads is because they had retired and moved to Florida. And then, of course, people were calling them from Austin, like, you need to come back in, you do something. So she said she knew it was serious when she saw Steve at the table with the notebook, writing numbers and crunching the numbers. And she said, then we were at a crossroad. So that's how the name came about, in case any of you didn't know that. I didn't know it until this. So I thought that was super, super cool. So I'm going to thank her, Margaret Wingrove, and David Gray for your inspiration and support. You've been with me from the beginning, and these are the people that formed me. Okay, they're the ones that taught me a lot about how to serve. And also, just their inspiration and guidance was very, very important. Thank you for everything you've done. Also, a thank you to my friend Steve Bennett, who shared so much of the vision creation with me. And to the residents of Blockhouse Creek, thank you for allowing me to serve you. It has been a privilege to be a part of this vibrant community, and I leave with a heart full of gratitude and pride. Warm regards. So I do have one more thing. Which is, promise I'll keep it short. I do have one more thing, and this is to the directors. This is a note that I hope you will hold on to and with your dearest heart and mind in it, but I'm gonna read it out so everybody can kind of hear my points. Dear Blockhouse and my board of directors, I want to emphasize that ethics are fundamental to our service in this board. It's crucial that we remain transparent in our actions and decisions to foster trust and accountability within the community. Let's ensure that personal business and emotions stay outside our meetings. By maintaining a professional and impartial approach, we can contribute to more productive and efficient operations. It's also important to remember that we may not always agree, but when that happens, we should respectfully acknowledge our differences and move forward in the best interest of the community we serve. Thank you for your continued dedication of your service to the Blockhouse and my board of directors and to Blockhouse.
Thank you.
I mean that sincerely from the bottom of my heart, because I think y'all have the best intentions to do what's right, and it is not always easy.
Thank you, Director Roberts.
So that's all I have for now, but thank y'all for
Yes.
this. Hasn't hit me yet.
Well, we look forward to honoring you after the meeting this evening, okay? And I think we have a pretty good agenda that we can get through pretty quickly and,
Awesome.
yeah.
All right, so we're gonna take a picture.
Oh, yes, let me take a picture of y'all real quick.
And by the way, thank you whoever did this, did the Blockhouse
Lisa.
in 2 words. I have a real pet peeve about that.
Right?
And I would love it to have it all of the picture.
Yeah, we'll do that tonight, if that's all right, I mean, afterwards. But where would you all like to take this picture?
Come on over here.
Okay.
Yeah. Look at this wall.
Like, maybe by the map, or?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay.
Appreciate you.
I'm gonna slide back to you.
Got 2 tickets for the
Thank you.
Take your hat off, Stu.
My hair.
Okay, I took a bunch, and I will definitely share this with you, so you can share with everyone else. Thank you.
Good job, girl.
That was sweet. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, former
Denise is
director.
here. Did Denise already leave?
She did, I should have grabbed the picture, I apologize on that.
You know, no one knew who she was. A few people did, but I thought that was nice that she was here.
Okay, so let's, not to just, you know, what am I trying to say? Let's get moving so we can celebrate you.
I like that.
Okay, citizens communications, and I'm trying to go back to the agenda. We're gonna do consent items, and then we'll jump over to Jim. Consent items, do I have a motion to approve minutes from August 15th,
Motion.
August 21st, September 11th, and September 25th?
Motion. Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. And Jim, representing Nebraska Furniture Mart.
Yes, thanks for having me again.
Absolutely, thanks for coming.
Appreciate it. In the spirit of cake and champagne, I'm gonna keep this really short. No, in all honesty, there's not much of an update. There's really 3 reasons up here that we talked about during the meeting. It's to discuss project milestones, provide you with any updates, and any major work that's taking place on the site. So, not much has been happening over the last month as far as what y'all can and can't see. The biggest milestone that we've reached is, as of yesterday, we completed the mass grading. So all the dirt's been pushed. We've been pushing a lot of dirt for the last 6 or 7 months, so it's great to have that milestone behind it. I think as you drive past the site, you're starting to see a lot more vehicles on site. Before it looked like a big flat leashy field. What you're noticing taking place right now is that the Shields department store, or sporting goods store, has begun construction, so you see a lot of rigs up in the air. They're actually drilling piers in their foundation. So that work has been undergoing. They poured a substantial amount of concrete, and they're getting ready to do their underground structure of that building. The NFM store, they're still mobilizing later this month. The underground utilities, as we talked, will start later this month as well. And then that vertical construction will start in January of 25. I don't mean to repeat the same dates every
That's helpful.
month, but the important part about it is they're not changing.
Yeah.
They're sticking to their deadlines and milestones, so that's really important. The Hotel Convention Center is still on track to start March of 25 and finish up February 27th. The 3 Another item that we talked about last month was the 3 storm sewer tie-ins that we're doing on Creek Run. One of them has been completed and installed and inspected by David Baker. The second one has just been completed today and will be inspected within the next 48 hours through one of his inspectors. And the last one is the furthest one that we have east on New Oak. It's the longest one before the first house there. That will be done probably second or third week of November, and I think we discussed back in August that we would have all this work done before the holiday season started, so we're still on track for that. The one thing you may notice in some areas as you're driving along Creek Run, as we talked last time, we're doing a major retention wall along there. Last time we were at 25% complete, now we're at 95% complete. So in 2 weeks, that'll be done, we're actually ahead of schedule, so hey, thanks for the construction team. And then on top of that will be our 10-foot CMU wall, which is the screen wall that kind of provides the privacy between NFM and the neighbors, and that's gonna wrap up in February of next year. Those are really the major highlights right now. You'll see a lot of the truck traffic will start slowing down because we're not bringing a lot of import or taking a lot of import off site. A lot of the work is going to be will be happening. They'll arrive early in the morning, do their work on site, the materials there, and then again, leave again later in the day. So there's not a whole lot going on over there. I think next month or maybe December meeting, maybe I'll bring a representative of both construction firms. Keynes McShane is doing the NFM store, an outfit out of Lincoln, Nebraska. Sampson's doing the Shield store, so maybe I'll bring each one of them over there. We could talk about what construction activity is going to maybe affect or have any influence on the residents here. So that's really where we are.
Thank you.
I do want to say that it's not very often you get a chance to come to a meeting like this and hear great things about great people. So that's really been wonderful. It's really great to hear the appreciation.
Thank you.
And I appreciate getting to know you over the last 4 or 5 months.
Same here.
It's great to see you moving on and best to you in the future. I'm sorry.
Along Creek Run, there's a chain link fence up now with privacy
Yes.
sheets and such. How much longer are we gonna expect that to be there, and what are we gonna see when it's removed?
So that should be gone in the next 2 to 3 weeks. That's the last storm sewer tie. So there were 2 that were done if you're heading from Blockhouse East on Creek Run. There are 2 that have already been installed. Probably didn't even notice the first one because it was only about 10 feet off the property line. But that is the third one storm time is gonna be in there. We anticipate that being done before, probably November 16th is the day we're shooting for.
Thank
To
you.
get that done. And it'll be restored, maybe not as soon as we're done. We've talked with David about it, but it will be, we're gonna restore that whole area and put it back to as close as we can as original stuff.
Thank you, Jim. I do want to add that Lisa and I, you gave us a tour like 2 weeks ago. That was very enlightening. It was really exciting and really put it kind of to scale. It's different when you're driving past it, when you're actually there in the middle of the property and in this little
mule.
Yeah.
It wasn't a real mule, it's actually a wheel.
Yeah. We went all over, but it was really interesting and I learned a couple of things. And I don't know if I really want to say this. Do you have a decision on the one fence in the back or should we?
Well, let's table that.
Okay, all right, we'll table that. But one of the cool things is the utility poles along New Hope that are in front of the property, they're all going underground.
This is good.
And hopefully I can share this too. I probably should have talked to you before the meeting, but we just talked about the quality of shops and restaurants that are coming in, and it's not going to be like a yogurt shop or a Burger King. It's pretty nice, high-end places, and it's really going to be pretty upscale.
Yeah, and as these tenants become available, and I mean, if you do your research on the internet, you might be able to figure out which way this is leaning, but
Yeah.
as they become available, become public knowledge, and we'll get some overviews with it.
Yeah, like if you looked up another Nebraska Furniture Mart in another location, you could probably see.
Like the Colony.
Yes, you could see some of the, 100%. One of the cool things is Shields, and we actually drove down it, they actually are gonna have a basement, and it's 30 feet?
It's 22 feet.
Okay, and that's because, one of the reasons, is my understanding, is they have a big aquarium where they actually have scuba divers in there, so because of the equipment, they have to have a basement. And then, I hope you don't remember me repeating this, but just to remind you all, the Nebraska Furniture Mart retail store is gonna be about 500,000 square feet. And then it's gonna be like an L, and this side is the warehouse, which is gonna be 1 million square feet, and there's gonna be a 4-level parking garage in between the HEB center and the retail.
Why do we even come to these meetings?
Well, it just,
I would say, it was only like
You do a very, very good job of keeping us informed.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
we
bet
really
it,
appreciate the information. We
Absolutely.
take it in, so.
I bet it was really different to just go and get that tour.
Oh,
So
we've been
thank
on
you
there.
so much.
Yeah.
And, if down the road, the other 3 directors or Amanda would like to have one too, but I've always felt really good. I mean, it's a big change for our community. But after that tour, I felt really good and started talking to residents more and just really, it's.
Yeah, we've had a lot of great discussions on.
Yeah, we did, so thank you. Thank you for taking that.
that. I think you can see we're forward thinking and trying to do what's
Yeah.
best for all the neighbors. so.
Yeah, and we've got some ideas of some other stuff going forward, so, thank you, Jim.
So, you're welcome.
Y'all are
Thanks
doing
for-
good making hay while it doesn't rain.
Yeah.
Please give us some rain.
We need the rain, but y'all are doing good. so.
We try.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
we're gonna go ahead and
Yeah,
move to item number 16, which is under services, which is David Gray. Do you have anything else to add to the Nebraska Furniture Mart?
I think you've covered it, Madam President. No, I
I'm
don't.
now Jim's assistant.
I am pleased to see that the project tie-ins are going well, so we're inspecting this Jim noted, so that seems no problems there.
Okay,
Do you want to talk about any portion, we'll talk about other items on the agenda now, the bonds in the park, or do you want to just?
let's wait, can we wait just kind of
Of
some other
course,
stuff out?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay. Well, actually, park bonds are next. Number 3. Consideration of plans for Tumilson Park Playscape. So I will say, there was a meeting that was with David Gray, Cecilia, I think Director Jones was to attend, and, Trent. So I think it was just the 3 of y'all, and then you had a good meeting. And then I was invited to the next one. I was gonna zoom in, but we had some issues with that, but Cecilia did update me on that.
Good.
So, Mr. Gray, can you update us?
Yeah, basically, you've got a couple items on the agenda. One that came out of that meeting is that the Tumilson Park plans, the playscape plans, have been completed by Hitchcock Design. I was expecting Trent, I'm looking around for him, I don't see him. I was expecting him to be here tonight. He did indicate he may have a meeting that would run a little bit late, so I'm not gonna steal his thunder. You may want to come back to that. Basically, the plans are complete. We're not ready to go out for bids yet. We're kind of waiting on our funding from our bond application. The copy of the plans are in the packet. There's not been any official action on the plans. I don't know if at some point in time you want to take those, or if you want to bring them back to your subcommittee that's looking at this for comments before finalizing. And that's my take on the plans. Okay, yes, ma'am?
So I thought the reason it was on the agenda was we needed to take some action to kind of keep it moving forward. Is that what my understanding was?
We were talking about doing that, and certainly should the board want to take action to approve the plans, and we will say no, we won't stand in the way of that. But if the board wishes to have this go back through your park subcommittee before bringing it to the full board, we certainly respect that process too.
Can you kind of provide a little bit of the basic reasons for why this would be, because of timing, but there's a lot of unknowns out there right now because the TCQ has not come back.
Yeah, getting to the bonds, our bond package should be reported out by staff in November. I know that sounds like a long ways away, it's like around the corner. It's in its normal process, if you will, the TCQ, which I know we'd like to see it faster, but we've not been notified of any problems with that. I've been in discussion with the TCQ staff. Sean and I visited about it, visited a little bit with your financial advisor too. When we get that bond application approved, then that gives us the go-ahead to start selling the bonds at the point in time the board would like to, and that would provide the funds for moving forward with the Tumilson Fork project, as well as funding the design of the other recreational improvements that are part of that bond this year. May recall, it's not just Tumilson Park, it was in that bond application. Otherwise, you're having to draw down on your operating funds, and no, that's not necessarily a very popular idea right now, given the fact that we're trying to be cautious about expending those funds, and we just got into a new fiscal year and kind of hate to make a raid on them. There is a process that's outlined in your packet that your financial advisor put together, and I think it basically tracks what I'm saying about getting the bonds out, getting them sold, and getting them funded. There had been some discussion about possibly bidding the Tumilson Fork project beforehand. I think in an abundance of caution, candidly, I would suggest that we wait till we at least have an indication from TCQ when our bond issue is gonna be approved. Maybe have the bond order, which is what comes out of TCQ, which allows us to go to advertising for bids for the bonds until we actually go forward with approving it. We've got some time to do that. It was put on the agenda if we wanted to try to approve it tonight. We're not necessarily asking for that. I'm not even really suggesting that. I'm just saying, here it is. It's complete. I'm not qualified to give you an in-depth review of the plans because it's Trent's design. We do the civil work on, they do the real design part. So I'm not sure if that answers your question, Cecilia, or not.
It does, but also too, the plans that are here, if the board does decide to approve them,
Yes, ma'am.
is there an option to modify them?
Yes, I mean, the answer is yes, and Trent's gonna kick me when he hears this, but yes, there is. You know, in a perfect world, we'd really like to get the comments that are significant. And I'm not saying you have significant comments, but if you do have significant comments, you know, if you have a paint color change, that's a non-issue. If you have a moving structure, that's a horse of a different color, okay? I'd like to get those level of changes vetted, if you will, with the subcommittee and ultimately the board before we would go out for bids. I really try to encourage my clients not to make changes while it's under construction. It's typically more expensive to do through the change order process because you're a little bit at the whim of the contractor at that point, quite frankly. Whereas now you've got a lot of latitude. I don't know of anything particularly that the subcommittee or the board might take issue with the plans, but it's your part. You need to look at it.
So let me make a recommendation. I know, Cecilia, I gave you some suggestions. Remember on SMT Red, I showed you a picture of that one wall and different things. May I suggest that Cecilia and I meet, because you're here till November 3rd. Maybe we meet with Trent. David, you could dial in or something
Yes, ma'am.
in the next like 4 or 5 days.
Okay.
And go hash through any other potential like major changes.
Yeah.
And major, but I mean like, maybe we need extra flat, maybe we need, you know, like at one point I'd mentioned doing a zip line, and Trent's like, you really don't want that, you're gonna spend more time because it's gonna be broken, and you had a full times park place. And then, we could put it on the agenda for November, it's like the second week in November is our meeting, that'll give you all time, and I could update the board at that meeting and tell you any potential changes, would that work, and then we vote on it in November? Yeah?
I think it works from our point of view, from your staff's point of view. I really urge you to have that meeting with Trent, which you're suggesting doing that, okay?
Right.
I think without his being here right now, it'd be arguably premature to take any formal action.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and direct Lisa to work with Trent and David and Director Roberts and myself, but it has to be before November 3rd, and then we're prepared enough to get it in the packet.
Yeah, that would be good, maybe.
Okay, alright, thank you.
I think that really covers both the bond issue and the playscape, I think, so
Yeah.
maybe that's both the agenda items.
Okay,
I don't have anything else for y'all. I'm happy to stay for a little while. I have an emergency come up that I need to get out of town on.
yeah.
Crystal doesn't have an emergency that I know of, so she can certainly stay.
Yeah, you're gonna be driving late tonight, so go ahead and take off. I know you would like to stay for cake and champagne, but I
I would.
understand.
Well,
You bet that, but I'm sure you'll have another opportunity.
somebody save me a piece.
Yeah.
Put it in the
I
freezer.
suspect this won't be the last time I see Director Roberts.
Yeah.
It won't be Director Roberts then, but,
You might try my first name.
yeah.
Okay,
So,
All right.
if that's okay,
That's fine.
I may slip out and
Okay.
and I'll ask Crystal to stay and take notes and enjoy a cocktail.
She'll be great.
for me. And Congratulations, Celia.
Thank you.
I've often said that I've spent more time with you than I have my wife in the last 40 years.
Like we're kin somehow.
40 years with you and 45 years with her. It's pretty good.
Wow,
Think about it.
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and go to Ms. Martin. Lock House Owners Association.
Cecilia, I just wanted to thank you for your service on behalf of the OA, and I think we've enjoyed a good relationship, and so I look forward to, talking to you in the future.
Definitely, thank you.
Vote, I went and voted today, the lines are only gonna get worse. So I went after lunch before school got out, and it took 30 minutes.
Was the rec center?
No,
The
I
rec
actually went
center's
down to
been red.
Anderson, no mud.
Yeah.
Oh, did you?
I'll probably do it in Georgetown, but the rec center's been red almost every day.
Yeah, they've got that great link that you can see, is it 15-minute wait or is it
Yeah, that
45
was,
minute
it was
wait?
red.
Yeah, yeah.
But the lines haven't gone down at all, so anyway. Pumpkin patch, was a success, and it's gonna be cleaned up in the next week, so the things will be gone, and all evidence of our having been there will be gone. Our annual meeting is November 9th, which is in a couple of weeks. Notice just went out to all the OA members about our election and to get proxies, and then we have one board position, obviously we only have one person running right now. So, November 9th, we should be done with all of that. And that's all I have.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ms. Martin.
Thanks, Sandy.
Okay, Deputy Lovato, Lindsay County Sheriff's Department.
It's like,
Nothing really significant to report. Everything is running pretty smooth. You guys have anything for me?
No, just update, we had a security subcommittee meeting today. It was myself, Lovato, and the GM. And one of the cool things that we came up with is at our farmer's market in November, which is the first Saturday of the month, we are going to work with Williamson County Sheriff's Department and to raise toys for Brown Santa. So we're encouraging all residents that attend to bring a toy, and we'll put some communication out on this. I just want to get the approval from Deputy Lovato. They will get a little ticket, and I have all the vendors donating an item or two from their booths, and we'll create like 1 or 2 gift baskets. And at the end, they we'll pull 2 raffles and they'll win them. So we're trying to incorporate the vendors and the residents. We're also going to have a bin here for Cocoa Christmas. So people, because oftentimes we raise canned food or blankets, but since we're gonna go ahead and do this with Brown Santa, we're gonna do that as well.
may I add, so I think Gary Keaton's still with Brown Santa, correct?
I don't think so.
Oh, he's left?
Mhm.
Okay, because he normally was a Santa, and I was gonna say for, if you haven't already gotten somebody, you might wanna look at them and use theirs, and then you could fundraise, for.
Yeah, I think we're probably gonna have a deputy there hopefully on the November market day. I don't know if we'll have Santa, but are you talking about for Cocoa Christmas?
Yeah, Cocoa Christmas.
Yeah, okay, well, we can talk to Lisa about that, yeah. But we're really excited to help the brand Brown Santa.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen a gate locking text since the hour change. So it looks like you guys have had that covered every night then?
It's been going pretty good, yeah.
Okay,
There's only been a couple incidences where I've had to come out and lock the gates.
okay, so there have been no texts?
Because my boy's been playing baseball, so.
I got you.
Trump by him to do it.
Yeah, it's been too bad. I did let them know, this Saturday night on the 26th, we're doing a spooky night at the garden, which is really fun, and we're doing a disc golf night, so I will be there, so I'm happy to close that gate if your deputy can close the other ones. I think we'll be out there by 9:30 or something, but, okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, let's keep moving. Amenities, Premier, Mark.
Again, so yeah, thank you for your service. It's only been a year that I've been able to work with you, but really, I've appreciated getting to know you, and really, I know how dedicated all of you board members are, and really appreciate your service to this community.
Thank you.
As far as the pools go, it's been standard operations. We haven't had any issues, no maintenance issues, no chemical issues. It's been status quo. The swim team's doing well. We have started putting the tarps on Apache at night. We had the one cold front that dropped it pretty cool. The heaters are working well and keeping the temperatures up. And we're just keeping those tarps on even now just to save a little bit on the gas, because when it does drop into the 60s, it does cool those pools off.
So, is there any maintenance that needs to be done preventive for those heaters? Because that seems to always be a real pain.
I will definitely check on that. We're doing our normal, change out the filters and that sort of stuff,
Yeah.
and we'll research those.
I wonder if it's plumbing, and is it, I don't know what we've done in the past, but we just probably need to schedule those on a regular maintenance, because those are expensive.
Yes.
Like, really expensive.
Yeah, just replace them.
Taking care of them, we have them on schedule.
So, okay, I just wanted to check on that. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay, priority.
Good evening. Had an eventful month, we had the regular services, and then also we're able to get all the fall fertilizer and pre-emergent out, as well as the fall mulch.
It's really busy.
Looks a little different out there than it did last month, it's a little more brown everywhere. But it's, we're heading in the right direction, and then starting next month, we'll start the bi-weekly service for winter time, so.
Great, thank you.
So I do have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
The irrigation just doesn't appear to be on,
It is on,
because there's like little green patches, but it's not working, it's not just spraying the water out. So is there,
there are some areas that need to be addressed. The main area here, due to the number of zones and the water window we have, they don't really get to run as long as we would like them to run.
I thought we had a variance.
We have discussed some variances.
So we have to do an official variance in order for him to increase the times or the days going outside of the typical water day. Can we look at that?
We can look at that, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think we do have that variance.
I thought we
It's the
approved
commercial
it.
one. Yeah, let's clarify that, but I'm pretty sure we do have the
Yeah.
variance, yeah.
And, because my old neighbor takes 2 gallons of water a day to water this one tree over here.
Okay.
So, and I've told you about it, it's like, oh my gosh. So I don't know if it has a drip irrigation on it or not, but.
Should have a butler, I'll take a look at that.
Okay.
And get that addressed, as well as any of the little green circles.
Thank you.
So, thank you, I haven't known you very long, but I do appreciate your feedback on community landscaping wise.
Thank you, absolutely, you did a good job.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and go to number 26, so it's just land.
Can I say something?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Same thing for you, Cecilia. Congratulations. We started working, I think in 2007.
A long time ago.
If I'm not mistaken. And then got another opportunity, you gave me the chance, even though I know there's a little hesitation with the size of our company and all. But,
You started out small and
yeah.
you've grown.
yeah, so just wanted to say, enjoyed the time that we worked together and thank you for all you've done and hopefully I didn't give you too many headaches.
Thank you, Trev. Hey, Trev, you might as well just stay up there. We're gonna go ahead and go into your landscape maintenance agreement, which expires October 31st.
Which is,
Sean.
under Sean.
26.
Yeah, 26.
Yeah, and so just a quick overview, Lisa and Tripp worked through this, kind of made a few changes. I think the most important consideration was looked at was forming or ensuring that the agreement matched what was in the budget for this year. Other than that, I don't think there were a lot of substantive changes. Tripp, do you have it in front of you or do you
I don't have it
recall?
in front of me.
Lisa, do you have that in terms of just, they're just minor tweaks in terms of the substantive services?
Yeah, it was very minimal. We did make a little bit of change in the irrigation because it was getting to where it was requiring more. And we had some room, so we just shifted things around. It's just gonna be kind of put in a different bucket, basically. Price didn't change on that.
The controller or just the irrigation system inspections or?
Specifically the irrigation repairs that are in the contract.
Yeah.
Okay, so, okay, gotcha over here.
One thing I'd just like to add, and we can work on this next coming year, when we have new subcommittee members on this. I've heard from 2 different residents in the past week just about really being more sustainable and doing less grass. And I know Cecilia and I worked on the, what do you call those?
Medians?
The medians and the islands, where we made them more xeriscaping. And so I've just heard some requests of like trying to look at that more holistically throughout the district. That's not something we do like this, but I would love for the subcommittee to kind of,
Transition.
and think about it with you and then bring it to the board maybe for the next contract. Okay? Okay, so do I have a motion to approve number 26, the landscape?
Motion. Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Tripp, we do enjoy working with you and your team, thank you.
Thank you, Tripp.
Okay, let's go on to the Community Garden Volunteer Project. Do you wanna address this, Lisa?
Yeah, so we actually did in the budget for the 24-25 fiscal year have an item listed for the Christmas decoration landscaping that what Priorities normally takes on. That budget is about $15,000. The garden community did come to us and they did express during the budgeting season of some needs that they were having as far as irrigation. Obviously, we weren't able to meet those needs for them, but with the vast amount of people that are actually in the garden that are willing to be volunteers for the district, we have some electricians, we have some other people that are just doing great at decorating in general. They are wanting to come in and actually take over what Pride Landscapes does is normally just put all of the garland and bows on all of the bridges, go ahead and do the lighting for the Walker House and so forth, and in return, maybe allow for us to go ahead and utilize some of that money to help them with their irrigation system. And so it actually kind of would, work out really great for both the district as well as the community members. I have already received waivers from the volunteers, and they're happy to jump right into this and get to it at the beginning of November, so that we'd have obviously our Christmas decorations for this next year.
Do we have the lights already?
We did, everything.
No, we own everything, we just might have to update the bows, right?
Probably
Because they
take the
fade.
bows, but they're gonna come in, maybe utilize the Germano building for a couple of days just to actually pull all the items out of the monument stage and everything, make sure that they have, and then obviously if they need anything, they'll let me know. I'll grab whatever they need through the district's account and then give them an opportunity to come out and, like I said, put everything up for us.
So I'll go ahead and make a motion to allow the community garden, I guess they're kind of like a little committee, to help decorate the lights and the garland. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion to Director Shoemaker.
None.
Director Roberts.
Does Priority know that this
Yes.
is coming out of their budget and they're fine
Well,
with that?
it's not in their budget anymore, if you recall. You did ask us to remove it out of their budget and put it on a specific line item by itself. So that way it actually isn't in their contract at all. But they have been
They've always
updated.
assumed that they've done it.
Yeah,
so-
but I did talk with Tripp and with Clint, so they're both aware of that, and they probably will be helping the garden community when they get ready to do their irrigation out there, so they'll be assisting in some of that.
So it's an install and a takedown?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
store back?
Mhm.
Okay, so Sean, is there any other things that you're concerned about? Because they're gonna be able to
The
roofs.
waiver, but as long as we've got the waiver in place, I'm
Yeah.
not any concerns.
Director John, I'm sorry.
What timeline are they putting it up?
So I believe that we had the second week in November.
Okay.
So that we'll have it right before the Thanksgiving timeframe.
Okay.
Director Johnson.
Do we know the cost of the irrigation?
I believe that when the gardeners came in, they mentioned roughly about 10,000 because they were looking at matching. And so we have about 15, we do have 15 in that bucket, depending on, like I said, once they come back to us, obviously present to you all, we have that amount of money to be able to assist them.
Okay, so if I'm doing the math in my head right, so instead of paying 15, we'll pay 10. We'll get the value of the 15 for the setup, but we'll also get $20,000 worth of irrigation enhancements.
I believe that that might be the case.
Am I understanding the kind of?
We're doing 20 in enhancement.
$10.
They were mentioning they might be able to match.
Match it.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Mhm. They as the
Okay.
garden community.
Oh, okay, yeah. I don't know if they can, I mean.
Yeah, I don't think, I think regardless, like, it's a solid deal tonight. We're doing it off because opportunity for involvement.
Yeah.
Yes, both great things.
Okay, Director Young.
No comments.
Okay, I really like the idea, I also like that, we have Boy Scouts that do volunteer projects and tidal waves, and so I like that the community garden's able to help and do some, even though they're benefiting, from it, I think it's kind of cool. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, thank you, let's go, a report from Amenity Subcommittee, we have not met, so there's nothing there. PR and Communications, do we have anything under special events?
Nothing special events.
Okay, so we do need to set a date for Cocoa Christmas, and then as we talked about doing the Brown Santa. I would like, for the directors that'll be here to please consider volunteering. We had 2 volunteers last time, so once we get the date, David and David, consider if you all wanna help with that.
Getting loans in here? Absolutely.
Yeah, okay, newsletter, any updates on that?
So we have the November the October newsletter has already been sent out. We have the November newsletter already queued up. That's already been approved by the subcommittee. And we are working on the December newsletter. So yeah, we're good on that.
Cool. Have we put, I don't think I've seen any pictures from the fall market, or the market in the newsletter, have we?
Yes, we
We
did.
did, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I missed it, okay, alright, awesome. Restricted covenants, number 11.
David, I don't think we had anything for this, to present at this point, right? It's something that Will's working on, nothing that was ready for us to bring to the board, right?
Correct, there were a few issues that almost came to us for consideration that, didn't need to anymore, if I can say it that way. So we're,
And I think it's fair to say that they're having productive conversations with residents on stuff.
They are.
and working with folks on trying to get things in compliance. So I think that, I mean, Will and Cam are working on stuff, I think, and it's been productive for them.
That's kind of a, sorry.
So, because I'm walking my block a little bit and it's starting to look a little rough. So there's like
In terms of-
vehicles that have been parked in front of the houses and have been there, and they're, in fact, they're expired inspections. So I don't know if the county can tag them, it's on the other side of Tomlinson. And then landscaping overall, and then vehicles that are just sitting in the driveway with stuff stored in the front of them, like signs and stuff like that. So, I mean, can we get them to focus a little bit more on some of those things and mowing? It's like, come on, people.
I know they've been talking about mowing, that's one that's coming up a lot.
We'll certainly bring it up, but
Like, look at this guy. That's been there for years.
I think that one, well, probably shouldn't say the address.
Which one is this?
I'll send it to you.
Yeah, please do. I wonder if that's not actually on our list of things.
Yeah.
That looks familiar to me.
I think it's one that we've discussed.
Yeah, in order to make everything work on the legal side of things, the ramp is, that one I have, the ramp up is fairly significant in terms of time, so.
Yeah, so.
They're on our radar for a while before Armbruster Brown gets involved, and then
Okay.
any more significant action, I should say. So, but yes, we will absolutely, and vehicles.
I think I'll just,
Debris.
I mean,
I'll just stay
it is
walking.
a little bit harder with the, I think it's a little harder with the ones on the street sometimes, because, you know, that one, if I recall correctly, is one where the county, I think, has the ultimate authority, if I recall correctly.
Can Lovato say that?
So in order, some policy changes just came over from the sheriff's office. We can no longer red tag vehicles just by expired registration, or parking violation alone. It has to now be the vehicle is inoperable, and that's the only way we can red tag it. We go notify the owners, say, hey, is your vehicle running? Is it able to move? Can you move it? If not, okay, you have 72 hours to have it moved, or we will remove it.
So I'll give you a good example. We had a trailer on Dillon Lake a couple of weeks ago that'd been there, I think, for almost 3 months. And it was full of debris and it was leaking paint down into the storm drain. We have pictures of that. I did reach out to Lisa and Lovato. Your crew was out there that day or the next day. They tagged it because it had a flat tire. And all the residents were super upset. It's a resident that owned it. The resident came in and put his 2 vehicles and like blocked it so it couldn't be towed. But the good thing is, he towed it the next day and it's gone. Now, we will discuss the paint leaking here under a couple of different things. I also recently had a car in front of my house that was abandoned and I thought it was stolen. And Lovato, I reached out to him and he was very kind. He went over there and he said, no, it's not stolen. There's nothing you can do about it. I'm like, okay. Well, then the next day, one of your deputies went over there and actually reached out to the guy. He just lived around the corner from me. And the poor guy, he was a super nice guy. I went out and talked to him. He just bought the car and it broke down. So it's really that communication. He was awesome. He got it that night. So, and then I think over by Port Ann, there was a car sitting out there forever. So if you see that, I would reach out to Lisa and let her reach out to Lovato because they'll do what they can. And you guys really did go above and beyond and, do some stuff, so.
But I thought our restrictions prohibit
They do.
from parking for 24 hours.
They do, I don't know if this is, well, but, so.
We don't wanna get too far into legal advice, but to your point, but to the point of like,
We can do
the
that.
authority to remove a vehicle, I think is what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to like, we don't have the authority to tow off vehicles.
And-
Not so much about the covenants, that's what I'm trying to make is like, so someone's like, my neighbor's got a derelict car out front, I want it towed, that's the point I was trying to make, we can't do that.
And I do believe in my discussion with Lisa and then Sean or Lovato, you guys are gonna work on some communications about no trailers sitting around, cause there's some over by Tonkawa too. So we're gonna over communicate and see if we can get something going, but I hear you, it is frustrating, and residents are frustrated with it, so. Okay, anything
This is
else?
a message to everybody on restrictive covenants, working with us in terms of any violations you have, explaining the situation to us tends to yield much better outcomes than ignoring any communication you might get. Would that be fair?
Yeah, people should always, if they get something from CAM, they should always reach out to discuss with CAM and make CAM aware. Cause there are people who have terrible extenuating circumstances sometimes,
So when I hear from
critical
residents.
illness, some kind of tragedy where, we need to know because CAM has no way of knowing. So And we work with folks to help accommodate to the
Yeah.
extent we can.
So I always direct residents to go through Lisa, and then Lisa can go through the
Yeah.
subcommittee, so it's not a walking forum.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, anything else on deed restrictions?
No.
Okay, 12A, nothing?
Not this time.
Okay, thank you. Finance and audit. Tyler.
All right, good evening, everybody. Before I get started, I also want to thank Cecilia for her service. You've been a pleasure to work with. Sorry I'm not there to celebrate with you guys after the meeting. For the bookkeeping report, we have checks 9136 through 9180 for approval today. Did void check 9143 to Contigo. That's for November services, and that was terminated. We had two transfers. We had the tax transfers and a transfer to the manager's account for the checks. We had a CD that matured to Independent Bank about last week, about 10 days ago. We went ahead and renewed that CD at 4.66% interest, and that's set to mature in April. And just for reference, tax pools dropped down to about 4.9, when the possibility that it could continue going down according to the Fed. And for tax collections for the fiscal year ending last month, we're at 99.49% collected, which is really good.
Okay, do I have a motion for payment of bills and invoices, fund transfers, and investments?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, amended and restated agreement for bookkeeping services, 14D. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Any discussion?
Only that it seemed like most of the changes were either, referring to specific parts of the comptroller's requirements or changes to the dates and other things. I didn't notice any significant.
Substantive.
Much substantive in there.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, a report from Finance and Audit Subcommittee. I'll just say that Director Johnson and I right now are working with Tyler and Sean on the credit card system. We're supposed to come up with a policy, so we decided we're gonna meet, Johnson, I know we weren't able to meet on Monday, but we're gonna get that finalized one way or another by the end of the year. So that we can accept credit cards. It may not be the ideal situation, because we can't reimburse to the credit card right now, I know. But even if it's not ideal, let's make it better. Did I quote you right on that, Sean? Okay, so it's still working. Okay, services, we went through that with David Gray. Crossroads.
And did we do 12?
Yes,
that-
Yes, we do. We need to have no
Okay,
action on that.
no action.
No action.
Sorry.
So thank you.
I just want to say first off, Cecilia, thank you for, I've only been working with you for about a year, but thank you for being great to work with, and I wish you the best in the future with your retirement.
Yeah.
Awesome, it's been a good month, I'll just be real quick and brief. We have no write-offs this month. I called Ernie today from AT&T, he said nothing on the slate for 2024, and he'll keep us updated for 2025.
So they're not showing it anywhere?
Yeah, so if you see anything out there, any AT&T trucks, it's just maybe a personal home is installing fiber, but they don't have any mass projects and it's slated until after, during 2025. And then,
Why is that?
We could
They
try to
got
find
so
out.
much grief.
Yeah,
I know,
well,
that's
I would say that they are aggressively, I don't know if well, I'm sure a lot of people have gotten it, but they're aggressively trying to get folks who maybe have not signed up for fiber service, where they're on the fiber hooking up, so they're connecting houses, I know. right
Yeah,
now.
but it's just a very small section. I know Horizon Park, they're all over there doing construction.
Maybe we
stuff.
should just run our own cable.
Yeah, okay, sorry, I
No,
didn't
you're
mean to.
Above
I
ground.
can ask them why not, but
Okay, it's fine.
No trenching.
Right.
And then, I just have one item, for approval, it's the acoustic leak detection, it's in the packet, it's for $9,000, or not to exceed, $10,000, and it is just the running list of the, meters in district that are over 2 million, and we approved it in the new budget, for 10,000, so I'm just getting this approved, and he's booked until January, so I just wanted to get approval tonight, and then we get that on the books.
Do we know how much was it each one?
150 for
Okay.
not to exceed 10,000.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second? I'll second.
Oh, I can.
Okay, go ahead.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right,
I
thank
do
you.
have a question for you on your report. There's an aged receivables, and 120 days, there's $2,300. What's the next
So
step?
that's probably just the billing discrepancy where whenever they produce or generate the packets, like, for example, if I go tomorrow and get with our billing clerk, it won't reflect that amount, just because the packets are not on the same schedule as the.
So that's not a high number?
No, and this has happened before, I think maybe 4 or 5 months ago.
I remember we talked
Yeah, it
about
was
that.
pretty high, and then I got with her the next day, and it was just, it didn't reflect the time of the printing of the packet.
I just wanna make sure we don't keep that number
Yes.
that high, cause that seems awfully high.
Okay.
That's all I have, do you have any questions?
Okay, so let's go ahead, since you're here,
Yeah, can I jump in real quick? So, we talked a little bit about AT&T installation efforts. In
Uh-huh.
our last meeting, we talked about the outstanding invoice that Crossroads had issued to some of the subcontractors who had broken some lines. In accordance with that, we followed up expressing urgency about the resolution of that. Have yet to hear back, but that letter did go out.
Okay.
Well, they confirmed receipt of it, they're looking into it. To be sure, the attorneys for the insurance company have responded promptly, just not substantively. So,
Okay, well, at least they
we will-
responded.
probably more substantive update from me at your next meeting.
Okay, perfect, thank you for staying on top of that. So Vince, while you're here, and Sean, let's go ahead and jump down, because it kind of relates to both of y'all. Is it on here? The paint?
Yeah, it's item
Yeah,
19A.
19A, yeah.
Fines you.
Oh, yes, okay.
Violation.
Okay, so I have this on here because that's the trailer I was talking about on Dillon Lake, and it sat there for about, I wanna say 3 months. I talked to probably about 6, 7 different residents right around there. The trailer is like one house over from the owner. It was completely full, flat tire, like I said, Williamson County responded, but it was leaking tons of paint, and you can see it run all the way down Dillon Lake, and it turns down, what's that? You know that, not Charlie Harley, but
On
it's.
Cross Street.
Yeah, and it goes right into the storm drain. As a matter of fact, Lisa was with me, we were just coming back from the tour, and we went out and took a bunch of pictures. I think that's a serious issue. It's, in my mind, a violation of our MS4 permit. I will say the first response from your environmental guy was it's not latex paint, so, but then we went back and Sean looked at it and others looked at it, and so Sean and Ben, if you wanna go ahead and take over the conversation now.
I'm happy to jump in, and then feel free to kind of supplement as necessary. I did visit with Kathy Mitchell, who is your MS4 administrator over at Quiddity. There's no question it's a violation. With that said, I think this was before a few of your times during your years of service. Of course, you recall considering some of these orders. But, unauthorized materials are prohibited from being introduced to the system. And then you have the ability to find folks pursuant to this order. This order was adopted, a publication was undertaken to put the public on notice that it was adopted. It is posted on your website. With that said, I think if you polled a common resident walking down the street in Blockhouse about what the penalties were for improper discharges pursuant to the MS4 permit, probably no one would realize that there's potential financial penalties that could be out there. I will tell you that as a matter of practice, I have authored several nasty letters over the course of years about improper discharges. That is what I would recommend here. You do have the ability to levy a financial penalty,
What is the,
up to $1,000 a day for violation.
who chooses it?
I'm sorry?
Is it a degree on, who?
No, there isn't it doesn't say for this penalty, you can levy this fine, for this, it just says you can levy up to $1,000 per day. I don't like the facts here, but I will tell you that I think this is a case of, at the very least, negligence, perhaps rising to gross negligence. I don't think it was intentional, nobody went over to the drain and poured the paint right in there. There's also a form of, not really self-help, but you could direct the resident to clean up his or her mess. Ben and I visited about that. I would defer to your expertise here, Ben, but I don't know that that's a real great solution, nor do I know that you want that resident out there remediating the issues. So my thought is that, what I would propose is that I am happy to send a letter on my letterhead, describing the situation, informing the resident of these rules, including the fact that, and we'll put a copy of the rules in there, documentation relating to the issue, and just let them know that this is the stern warning and there won't be another warning.
So they made no effort to remediate this, right? like no effort to like, once they saw it was leaking, like put an absorbent, try to do something to try to keep it from getting worse.
Yep.
Okay.
Then why are we just giving a warning?
Well, I don't know what.
Well, I'm just curious, like, you're going to gross negligence, that's what I was curious
Yeah,
about. You mentioned that
I
that's-
don't know, yeah, go ahead.
I was just wondering if it was a executive session or.
No, I think we can talk a little bit about this, good question though. I don't know if there was an opportunity to remediate, I've heard anecdotally from a couple different folks, that people are not happy about it. Clearly, there's a trail, there's a well-documented trail. Now, whether or not the resident was aware of the leak and could have stopped it, I don't know.
Okay. You mentioned gross negligence, so it's kind of like, oh, negligent. Oh, I didn't realize it was an accident, right? Things, you should try better, but gross usually means you
Here's what I know.
Here's the open refrigerator,
To distinguish those things, I think if the individual was unaware of the fact that there was a leak ongoing, and by the time he got out there, he's like, oh man, this is bad. But then he straightens it up and there's nothing he could do and the paint's already drained, I think that's negligence. If the guy or woman walks out there and sees that it's leaking, it's like, oh man, that's bad, but I gotta walk away. That's probably gross negligence.
Gotcha.
But it still falls short in terms of the level of culpability of going over to the drain and just pouring it in there. But to your point, David, I don't know if we know that, factually, whether or not there was an opportunity to stop it midstream or not.
Do we know if he was aware that it was leaking?
It's right in front of his house.
So, okay. Now, what kind of paint was it? Is it was not latex?
It was not petroleum-based paint, which it was just like, you go to Sherwin-Williams or Lowe's, it was just your standard paint, but not petroleum.
But you can't throw any paint down the stairs.
Correct,
Exactly,
yeah,
right. So, Krista, you have some environmental,
I do.
so tell me what your thought is.
I think my concern would be how much. Do we know how much actually went down? Because anytime I deal with environmental issues on the hazardous material side, it's usually the quantity. You know, did one drop go down or was it, 5 gallon?
To be sure, a fair
Yeah.
amount of it dried on the street. It
Right,
didn't
okay,
make it
fair.
into the storm sewer,
Absolutely.
right?
Oh, it did, there's a path all the way into the storm drain
Right.
and down, for
But-
sure, but you're,
Into it, yeah, so it's more on the street or in the side of the drainage, if you will, but not
So is
into
it, is the decision now on whether we
It would
find
be
him or
minimal
just give him a letter that says you got your hand slapped?
Yeah, I think that's the decision.
So when I came across this, of course, I was like, let's find him. First of all, he left that thing out there forever, and it had a flat tire, and it looked like crap, there was so much shit, it was just like piling over, excuse my language. Wilco was awesome, they took care of it within 24 hours. It's gone, but the paint is still there. I do understand somewhat, even if he doesn't know the fines, it's his responsibility living here. It's his responsibility to understand the fines. So I don't wanna let him off on being ignorant. But I do understand sending a firm letter, he's on notice, if he ever does it again, cause he does have that kind of business and it could happen again. If we do that, we need to take, in my opinion, take an opportunity to communicate with all residents. If this happens, you can be fined. Like, let's make another attempt to communicate with everyone. So that's.
Well, what if we find him just $100? You know, just.
Well, let me walk you through, it's a good question. And if he doesn't pay it, then you have to take him to court and then you have to sue him. And, cause what I don't think would be prudent, if you find him.
Should we go into executive?
No, I actually want residents to hear this.
Yeah, I mean, if you find him, I think you have to make an attempt to collect on him, right?
Which we should.
Right, and then, and just full disclosure here, it's in the code, you have the ability to put rules into place to levy these fines and get your attorney's fees paid, in order to collect those fines. So if you have to sue him to collect that fine, all of a sudden that goes from $100 to court filing, and that's fees for the attorney's time, that's fees for the filings, and so that $100 fine might turn into a $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 fine.
That's a little bit for going to court.
Costing us, yeah.
I think it's a little bit optimistic, right? I mean, $5,000, I mean, cause I mean, the thing is like, the court's got a backed up docket, I mean.
Yeah.
So I think to Sean's point, like, if this becomes larger, it goes from just simply putting a fine of, a few, I'll hand that to Director Roberts.
That's the trailer.
A fine of, a few hundred or even 1,000 to you throw in the attorney's fees and the court costs, like, something a bit more. And I think they're just gonna put it to a $1,000 fine. Here's what will functionally amount to a $5,000 or greater dollar fine. you know? So I think that is a very good point, Sean, like,
Now,
'cause we can't just leave it as a lien and hope they sell their house someday, you know? This isn't like a mechanics lien.
so my understanding is that Blockhouse Creek is a US waterways. Am I correct?
Oh, just Trent. Sorry.
Yes,
it
is. So
would be
US
protected
waterways.
by
Okay.
US Army Corps of Engineers, yes.
Yeah, so it's not just a normal, little creek, it's actually spring fed, and so I think that we should consider a fine.
Agreed, but I think then we're setting precedent on a certain amount of fine, and I just don't know if we have, I don't know if we have enough information.
But I think the other problem we probably face is, and this is not to give comfort to folks who do this, because, I think going forward, we're looking, I think Rez will be looking at this more closely when some of this is happening, right?
Yeah.
But we do have to also consider the fact that, the more easily defined the facts are in a case, the easier it is for us to move forward on
Right.
things, right? To your point about the negligence versus the gross negligence, right? So having more details about how long did you know this was leaking and what did you do to try to fix it, right?
I'll also say this, whenever this occurs in other districts I represent where we have MS4 violations, as Ursula's already mentioned, usually it leads to concurrent or contemporaneous community education. And so we've always kind of talked about that, and, I think we already kind of do that anyway. We have to paper that up when we go to TSAC every year in our MS4 report. To be sure, I think this will be documented in your annual filing with TCEQ.
Yeah, I would think TCQ would have to be notified too, am I correct?
I don't think it's like a.
Well, we did, but TCEQ came back and said because it's not petroleum-based paint, they can't issue a fine, or they can't do whatever TCEQ needs to do because it doesn't warrant their parameters for a fine.
Okay, all right, that's good to know.
But we could if we wanted to. So, unless anybody disagrees, I'd like to direct, Sean to go ahead and send a very stern letter, put them on notice, basically. And then let's do a communication to the residents. Because our goal is to prevent people from repeating this. Okay? Everybody good with that?
The minutes will reflect the
I'm good with that.
conversation.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you, both of you. Yeah, he's here. I see that. Yeah, let's, we just got a couple more things.
Thank you.
Nothing, okay, number 18, report from TDS. So, Lisa and Cecilia met with Jamar, and unfortunately I couldn't make that meeting. But, we are looking at some modifications to that contract. That will come up probably in November. I'm gonna try to share this with both of you, correct me if I'm wrong, but here's something. We talked about the 3 curbside pickups per resident, right? And was it 15%, 5%?
Eight.
Was it 8 or 18?
I thought it was 8.
8% utilization. Pull that out, I think it's like a $22,000 savings. The Humano drop-off that we just had this weekend, that's still pretty expensive. They gave us a third option, which is doing the large item bulk drop-off in front of your house twice a year on the same date. So it's not like Cecilia calls hers in and I call mine in. It is just September 17th.
Neighborhood drive.
They just drive and pick it up, and it may take them 2 days or whatever. It saves us money on having Wilco there, it saves us money on having the big bins there, and it still gets people to get rid of their junk.
I certainly think it's worth a try.
Yeah, so,
And something I think I did, think about from our discussion last time on the board meeting, I didn't bring up much was, this goes back to something I think about in the past, when I was campaigning, I did talk to some folks who were disabled, right? Who
Yeah.
complained about the fact they couldn't make the Jumano large item drop off, and I was like, we probably need to figure out, either it involves charging them more, some way to get those folks who are just simply not able physically to get the stuff out, into a vehicle, but having them do a fixed day drop off might be
yeah,
fun.
because they obviously didn't use the 3 times a year thing that they could.
Yeah.
So,
In this way, everybody's got an opportunity.
yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
gets to.
Well, everybody had an opportunity before, but I just don't think enough communication, whatever they didn't utilize it.
Yeah.
This will be
Like
different.
vehicle.
So there's no decision to be made tonight. We'll bring a new amended contract, probably next month, we have a new subcommittee, so I just want you to know that that's.
Twice a year.
I think you guys are looking at twice a year.
I think
It's
that's-
twice a year.
That's what we have in City of
It's gonna
Austin.
replace
We have
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that's kind of exciting. Let's go ahead, stormwater, we already addressed that item. Electricity at Humano, we're moving to November because we don't have the quotes yet. Nothing from reports from services.
We met briefly in the report.
So let's go ahead and, Trent. Consideration of plans for Tomlinson Park Playscape. Hi.
Hey, everybody, how are you guys doing?
Good. Sorry I missed you last week.
Oh, no worries. Well,
Did you, get Cedar Park a new playscape?
I just left Cedar Park, they had an open house for their Parks Master Plan.
Oh, fun.
We were there helping out,
Good.
with those guys, for all their public input, which was fun.
But did they have cake and champagne?
No, they did
Well,
not.
we did. We will have that. This is Cecilia's last meeting.
All right, well, cake and champagne, well, good, I'm glad
I know,
I'm
you
here.
should.
Timing is excellent.
Yeah, I love it.
All right, so, in your packet, you guys have basically what we're calling our 100% construction documents, for the Tomlinson Playscape replacement. We've had a couple meetings with the Parks Committee, and the plans really have not changed all that much. We did end up selecting the Wood, Playcraft as our manufacturer. Their pricing came back in, the best, and for sourcing, they were on board. They were a little slow in getting back to us originally, but they made up for it with really coming through with a really good design, something that we could work with. We had to lose one of the towers. We originally had 2 towers.
Oh, yeah.
But because of cost, having both towers there was a little cost prohibitive, so we ended up reducing down to a single tower. But we still have the ramp structure going up. We do have a tower. We have the bridges across, and we have a little underneath area now. So we were able to do a 3-foot slope change within the kind of the fort area where, kids can come in and then they can go down and get the use of rocks, use the slope, PIP, and get in underneath and play in on the underneath side. So that side of it, is really gonna be a lot of fun. On the outside is all the more traditional play, as well as the kind of the storefronts, which are a lot of fun. The games that they'll be able to play, they'll have endless fun because they're never gonna get bored because it's always gonna be something new. We took in your guys' comments and added in the merry-go-round, the all-ability.
Yes, thank
We have that plugged in. We had to move some things around to be able to get that to happen, but we still have barrel steppers, we have log steppers, some individual loop play, the cannonball rack, which is, there's just some fun things that.
Sensory stuff.
Yeah, they're all, there's so many things for them to do. And then we still have the swing set, which has, we've got 2 belts, a bucket, and what Navani and me, or the inclusive swing for that as well. So, there's a lot to do for everybody. The entire playground is PIP now. Before, we were having part of it that was gonna be mulch underneath the fort. We decided just for accessibility that we were able to do the whole thing in PIP, and I think you guys will.
PIP is.
Poured in place rubber.
Okay.
So, sorry, I'm.
Just for residents.
Yeah, we call it PIP, yeah, for us, we just know what it is. So the whole thing will be fully accessible, rubberized surface, which is just a wonderful surface, gonna have cool colors to it. And then we're keeping it pretty much at grade. We had to raise it up just a little bit to be able to get the 3-foot drop and still have that side of it be able to drain off. But other than that, we've got, we're coming back with new retaining walls with stones and stone caps, so some everything that we're adding is gonna be natural materials and blended real well. We're using all the existing benches that you have, we're gonna take them off, store them, put them back on, and connect back into the sidewalks. So,
I love that.
Awesome. So, we talked to David Gray before you arrived, and what we agreed, since Director Young was unable to make that first meeting and I was unable to make the second meeting, Cecilia's gone November 3rd. We would like, Cecilia and I would like to meet with you between now and November 3rd.
Yeah.
Just do a final looky, at it. David Gray can call in or whatever, and then we will be able to present in the November meeting and vote on it.
You said December 3rd?
Can you bring the PowerPoint or whatever it is and show the 3D to it?
yeah, the
So
3Ds that we had are a little old, but they're still pretty accurate. We just, some of the things got moved around at the last minute, but for the most, for the intent, yeah, you're not gonna notice much different from that to what gets built.
Okay, so do you think you can meet with Director Roberts and myself between now and November 3rd?
Next week.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, Lisa will reach out to you and we'll get that, and then
Sent an invite.
to the rest of the board, we will be ready to present this at our November 12th meeting and approve it.
Okay.
And then be ready to rock and roll as soon as TCEQ does Good deal.
And I think the main thing is to make sure Lauren keeps this timeline updated, because I think that helps everybody visualize a little bit more on the steps that are being taken.
Yeah, so just when you guys are ready, so what we'll need to know is when you guys are ready to advertise for bid, we'll need to know that because we have to schedule out with David the entire bidding process and advertise for bids and get it in the newspaper and, you know, there's just some legal things that we have to do. It's about a month process.
Okay.
So we can set that schedule up. We just need to know, we just need to have a little bit of a little bit of room to be able to.
And what we're waiting on is the TCEQ sign off. So if we have that, hopefully before the November 13th meeting, then we can get that next month.
And one thing we did not check in with David again, but we just remind him or somebody from your office, follow up with TCQ?
He did, he gave us a update.
Did I miss it?
You say it, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, he did. He talked to them today. He left a message with the director, who he actually knows pretty well.
Okay.
So he should have an update in the next 48 hours or so for it.
The other thing too is we get a preliminary memorandum, before they finalize the order and the technical memorandum, so we will see that, and so we'll have a projected date of when we'll get that finalized order.
6 months is the norm. We're coming up on that. So he said November is actually realistic.
Yeah.
So we're kind of on the timeline then.
Yeah, I was just pushing that. I just want to make sure we got it before the holidays started hitting and then there's more delay.
Yeah, and David did mention, I'm sorry, Trent, David did mention to me that one of the guy who was originally assigned this application is no longer with TCQ. I will tell you that is anecdotally commensurate with what I've been experiencing with water districts here recently. They were really good for a while. They've kind of slowed down here in a minute. In fact, when I first got here, I got a message that I got a bond app approved for a different district that I'm working on right now that we were expecting like a month ago. So they're a little bit behind after being very good. I don't want to badmouth them publicly here. They were very good for several months, but I think they've lost some folks and just a little bit behind.
It's too bad.
Yeah, I talked to somebody else who deals with them every day and she's telling the same thing. So, okay. So, yes.
One last thing, so
Yes.
just a reminder to you guys, when we do send this out to bid, we're also gonna send it to TDLR, so that we can have a registered accessibility specialist review it. It has to be reviewed and then inspected, so, we'll pass the cost for the inspection, for the review cost, and the inspection cost is reimbursable. That's the only cost that there are, but it's, because it is public, we do have to submit, and follow all those rules.
Okay, and then we'll start talking about if we can, apply for, nomination, or like, remember we talked about awards?
Yeah, so once, we're gonna wanna wait till it gets built.
Okay.
Once it gets built and we have photographs, then we will be able to submit it to
For
Texas,
design.
to TRAPS, for Texas Recreation and Park Society for Parks Award.
Oh, that'll be wonderful.
Fantastic. All right, we look forward to meeting with you in the next couple of days. Thank you. Please stay around if you have cake and ice cream. We're almost done with the agenda.
Sure.
We're close. All right. General Manager's report.
Thank you. You can find that report actually beginning on page 169 of your packet. I did want to bring up to your attention, in the PR and communications, we've had a lot of residents that have been reaching out in regards to the Nebraska Furniture Mart. They had questions on the easement as well as, you know, just the everyday, I guess, growth, if you will. What I did is I reached out to our website manager and I asked him to go ahead and create under the district's projects. If you'll scroll down, you'll be able to see Nebraska Furniture Mart, our upcoming neighbor. And any information that Jim is providing to us, you'll be able to click into that information. You'll be able to see the roadwork phasing that he provided to us, along with the easement information that you all have approved, and also the phases that Jim provided also. Also on this site, you will be able to find the memo. Amy's going in, my assistant, and taking a memo from Jim's information that he provides, so that way residents don't have to go and watch the board meeting in itself. They can just pull the memo and actually get the information of the points that he's hitting on. So we just want to give residents another place for them to be able to find the information that they can. And if, you know, they want to reach out to Cedar Park, but also just give them the links here also.
Thanks.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I think that's a great improvement. Thank you.
So we'll just keep, you know, providing information to residents on that portion.
So we can do that.
Yes, absolutely. Also moving on, you'll be able to find out, be able to see, last month I actually did address in my packet the fencing. It was something that obviously Mr. Overcasher is, you know, passionate about. We have had some other residents that have mentioned it as well. But what I had done, Director Young had asked that I go out and pull quotes from Sagamore Fence. Because I knew that our budget was obviously very limited, I actually did discuss with our parks person in the coming new year once he's a little bit more mobile with his, Polaris getting fixed and so forth. We do have that $30,000 budget in the parks, and what we wanted to do is buy, 5-gallon bucket at a time, and Travis is willing to go out and continue staining areas that Sagamore Fence missed. So just to give you an update, when Sagamore Fence came in and gave us an entire proposal for the entire 3-mile loop, they did actually go out and stain all of that area. However, there is some fencing that goes into streets. And so that fencing, they were not aware that that was part of the 3-mile loop. They only understood that it was actually the facing fence itself. And so these are the areas that you see in the packet that are missing stain. Those are the areas that Travis will go in and manage those and get that stain done, to the fencing to keep everything a little bit more uniform. It will allow for us to stay in budget until we're able to go back and address this either at the end of this next fiscal year, if there are any monies left over, or going into the next new fiscal year, so that way residents will still see some progress. But as opposed to getting, like I said, quotes on something we can't afford, that was the alternative.
Do we know how much, how many, roughly lengthwise, how much fence they missed? Okay, I'm just curious, there's a lot, we can discuss later.
Just to confirm, because they didn't understand that that was part of
The scope.
the scope, they didn't, it's not as if they charged us for it and didn't do it. They didn't charge us for it and didn't do it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And put their sign on the parts that weren't stained? Is that true, what was revealed?
I've never seen it.
I had not seen anything that was anything that wasn't stained or replaced, that's why I was a little puzzled about that.
Yeah, so my only question is, have we verified the linear feet that was in the quote versus that, so? Okay.
Yes, and the way we verified it is when they gave us the quote, the actual quote included every single area of stain. So in your Spyglass application, I have all of that information there, so we were able to go back and check apples for apples on the areas that they missed were not included in that.
You didn't have to go with the tape measure.
Exactly, yes.
Those.
Okay.
Yes, so I just wanna let you guys know that we are.
Perfect, thanks for the
managing
update
that.
on that.
Absolutely. At the end of my packet, you will be able to see there on page 171, there actually is a memo from Crossroads Utility Service. And at the request of Director Young, I wanna make sure that this is stated out loud from Crossroads Utility Service, that last month I provided you all with some information that gave Director Young basically accusations of cutting in the Germano Park area. And I wanna make sure that that information is redacted and that there is an apology provided to Director Young so that he is aware that Crossroads did provide information to the residents as well as the board members that does not have any corroborated information with that. So I want to make sure that the board is all updated on aware of that and that Director Young is hearing of an apology from Crossroads Utility Service. Moving forward in the future, we will make sure that we are not providing any information on the disc golf maintenance. There is a maintenance agreement, or I guess I should say, on item 24, a maintenance guide that Sean will be going over with you guys. Anytime Tripp has anything that he wants to provide you all, we'll let him do that.
Okay, so let's go ahead and go to that, number 24, the Humana maintenance guide.
So this was at our last meeting, we talked about this maintenance guide. We had a couple different versions of it, some Robert's changes that were added to it. So this was my attempt in your packet to just memorialize
My red lines.
the red lines and integrate the things that Cecilia had brought up. Wait a minute, we're officially into my section. Can I take these guys?
I still wanna talk about the GM report, but if we can bounce back to that.
What do you have?
The directive on the padlock audit, we've
Is
got
that
an
on
email.
your, is that in your packet?
We don't have that on the agenda.
Yeah, it's not on the agenda. Is it in the report?
Her directives are right here, and that was a directive that
It's
you recently given.
Oh, it is, okay, if it's in your report then, okay.
You had forwarded an email to Sean. Can we just talk openly about this, or do we need to go into executive on the padlocks and the numbers and stuff like that?
Do you have issues with the audit that she supplied to you?
Yes, for accuracy.
Okay, can you work with the GM on that and not spend board time on it?
No, I don't meet with the GM directly.
Okay, well, I don't think we need to spend board time on this, I think you can, work with Andrew on it.
That
if
was-
you can't.
Well, that was GM's decision that she's not meeting with me.
No,
That was
you
not
can
my.
meet, okay, so we're not gonna go into this. We're not gonna repeat September's meeting. So, I'm going to direct you to meet with, Mr. Hunt and deal with any of your concerns with that audit. Is there
Okay.
anything else under her GM report that you wanna discuss?
I still want to talk about the accuracy of the padlocks, and I don't know if you have complete veto authority just on your own, or if the board needs to.
Well, actually, my job as president is to run this meeting and stick to agenda, and I got many complaints from just about every single person in this room of the meeting last week, or last month, so I'm not going to repeat that, and I've asked Director Shoemaker and Sean to support me if we get off rails. So, Director Shoemaker, do you want to discuss the padlock audit?
I'm confused I guess I don't understand the issue before the board, Director Young, like I'm trying to.
I had asked for a padlock audit.
Yes, and she provided you an audit.
Right,
Which
with
is
terrible
the
inaccuracies.
veracity of, which then I don't understand, why did you not simply just, I guess I.
Can you write them up in a memo and submit them?
Yeah, I guess, I guess, so how are we going to, in the board meeting, at the current moment, address the accuracy of the audit?
We've got padlocks that are combos, and it says
Well, no,
there's a key. I'd like to bring this up.
But no, I guess the point I'm trying to ask is like, what is the resolution you were seeking? What is the motion you would make?
I would like to get an accurate audit of who owns locks, who has access to different items in the neighborhood, who can get into parking lots and such, so that we know, because I fully suspect that we have.
Did you provide anyone a itemized list of the errors you think are in the list you were provided?
I just got this recently.
Okay, so I think that might be the next step on this, would be to provide, I guess.
Yeah, do it in
email
person.
to Director, not Director Logan, to Lisa, if you want to, I guess I'm not quite sure what we do, but I guess the point is that, have we tried to tell them, here are the errors I think exist in, because I guess, getting back to what I was making is like, I don't know what action we can take as a board, seeing as there's been a directive, she has given you something to direct, we think it is inaccurate, but I don't know what we could further do beyond, I guess, I don't know what the further action is.
Okay, as a board, I would like to deliberate if maybe we're content with what this report contains, or if we need further information.
So I'm gonna direct Director Young to put together a memo or spreadsheet, whatever you work best with, of what you were supplied with, what you had found, and what are the differences. And then put that in the packet and we can discuss it in November. And that way we have real data in front of us.
Can we agree that it's reasonable that we know who owns the different locks that are on the different
You can
kits?
put that in your memo and we can discuss it.
Well,
next
I don't
month.
think there's any issue, we all agreed that they made the request, there's not a problem with the request, it's more like, but the point I was trying to get is like, until Director Logan's kind of like, it was the most, we ever take things up here informationally or on a decision basis, right? This is obviously not an informational item, right, because we're not discussing, because you're asking for some level of decision, right, but I can't tell what the decision would be.
Okay.
So I think if you put that together, we can have a more intelligent discussion next month.
Okay, and John, you may just reach out to Director Young and find out, why does he need this?
Okay.
I don't know if that's on topic.
I mean, this is like really ludicrous that one board member wants to see every lock. That is something none of us, I've been on this board, as you all know, 40 years, I could care less. And I don't understand the purpose for you needing to know who and what owns the locks.
You know, Director Roberts, I think the
And I
point we already
just-
established though is just simply that he was within his rights as a board member to request information.
Stay outside of
She was
meetings.
directed to,
Well, you just
she
brought
was
it to
directed to provide. So,
brought it to the board.
the point of the thing is, the brass, the reason of whether it's what the purpose is not the purpose we're discussing here. It's the information is provided. The board is already, he is already able to ask this, he's already asked the information. We're not relitigating.
Okay, we're
what we
gonna move on. Director Young has been directed to put together a memo that shows the information he was given, the information he has found, and the differences. He will prepare that in time for the packet so we can discuss it in November. Next, is there anything else you want to discuss under the GM's report?
No, I'm good.
Okay, Sean, we are now going into your thing, and do you want to just start at the beginning? Well, I guess actually, Humana Park is.
I'm good, right, Jemima, if I could back to the top, I would like to thank you, of course, for your service for the past 40 years.
Thank you.
Pass along greetings from several others in my firm that some will sign a card, which I'll present to you later.
Oh,
Some were
thank
unable
you.
to, but asked for me to pass along some sentiment as well, so thank you for all of your service.
Thank you.
Under item 24, as I began to say, this was my attempt to distill the original guide as prepared with the written revisions that Director Logan had provided, and then also to layer in the additional suggestions that Director Roberts had provided. So I think this actually captures it. I don't know that we have any action here. This is a living, breathing policy, so we can always come back to it as needed.
So I do have one thing in this, and I'll leave it on, but I noticed the priority, because I think there was in their contract there to do the maintenance on it, so I didn't see that incorporated. Was it necessary, or did you just feel like it wasn't something we needed to add?
I thought there was a mention of priority in there.
I read it
apologies if
many
there
times.
wasn't.
Let the minutes reflect that Director Young has left the meeting.
Hold on, man. They got either
If it's
waiver
not, yeah, I'm happy
liability.
to.
I didn't see it in there, but it
Yeah.
doesn't need to say priority, just maybe the district's landscape contract.
Yeah.
Are we
I
talking
didn't
about the
read that.
disc golf maintenance guy?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I was a little distracted there for a second, but I thought you and I talked about just leaving it as it is. There's no need to have a new document, right?
Yeah.
Because all this already is covered.
Yeah, I mean, this
Yeah, I don't
was
think
just,
it is
this was just an attempt to distill down, yeah.
Yeah, so let's just not
So it
do
doesn't
it.
need to roll call.
No. Are you
No,
good?
because
To be sure.
it reflects that we're in charge of the asset, it's our responsibility.
Well, I think we're talking about two different things. In my discussion with Sean, I thought we decided we don't need to incorporate this brand new one that we wrote up in Redline, because the existing one covers everything. Is that correct?
The existing, like, contract with,
Just our existing disc golf maintenance.
Was that since the last
Oh.
meeting?
well, yeah, so just to backtrack. So you have priority that's already under contract,
Mhm.
and then you guys had previously discussed and made a policy and put in place a policy, and that policy was that any volunteer work that's gonna be done on the disc golf course should all be approved by the GM, and then everyone would do a waiver before doing it. So that, I think that kinda got lost in the conversation last time, is that you already had priority doing work out there, and then you established a policy, and granted, I think it was just papered up in the minutes, it wasn't a written policy. But that policy was, everything flows to the GM for approval, and anybody who wants to work out there has to execute a waiver. So that's, I think that's recap.
Right, so I don't think we need to pass a new document.
Because this current document, the book is our current,
And this,
no?
this is more, that
That's
this
kinda
just
what
kinda gets
Robert
more
wrote
into
in my
policy in terms of like the papering up, like the community days approach, which I think is a good idea, so I don't think it's a
Okay.
detriment to have this. But to your point, I think more important, we did have a policy in place already.
I mean, I don't think it's bad to have something you can give the residents, right, even if it's on the website, right?
Yeah.
So like, here's the broad instructions, right? Because I'll be honest, I don't wanna have to have Lisa have to explain to every volunteer what they can and can't do.
Yeah, okay.
It was formal, but not.
Do I have a motion to approve
Yeah,
the document that's in the packet?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Is that a second? Director
You can be, yes.
Okay, any more discussion?
Just to be clear, the Jumano maintenance guide, that's the one we're talking, just want to make sure, absolutely.
Okay, Director Roberts.
Oh, come on.
Shoemaker.
Just something to give to the residents.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. All right, I think we just have a couple more things and then we're ready for cake. Utility.
So, subsequent to our meeting last month, I followed up with PEC. They were agreeable to everything that we had discussed. I need to write them a letter. They requested I write them a letter to kind of tie the group together. Basically, we received payment. At that point, we will contemporaneously take that and execute the easement at the same time, just to, but I think we're almost done there, unfortunately.
Awesome.
If I can go down to agenda item number 27, that is information technology consultant agreement. This is with George.
George. And
This-
Or is this?
We're gonna talk about that later, I have visited with Chris on that.
Okay.
Yeah, so this one is the same exact agreement that Chris did have, it just updates the term, and I think goes into effect as of November first.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? George, thank you. Okay,
Good to have you aboard.
28. No, 28 we're holding till November because we don't have some information there.
I think we're gonna forever table Contigo,
Yes.
and then we'll bring back something from
Elite Computing.
Elite Computing.
Okay, great.
Okay, this is.
Can we talk about Chris or no?
Is that easy?
We can talk about Chris.
Do we want to talk about
I've somebody visited with him, so.
Okay.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't, then Chris, do you mind if we have this conversation publicly? So is everyone, just to make sure we're all on the same page here, Chris's wife Amanda has been elected to the board, and she will start a new term replacing Director Roberts here, starting in early November. Question comes up, Chris has been your IT consultant, board members, for the past year or so? 2 years, wow, it's a run. And so the question was, Chris continuing after Amanda comes on the board. So there are kind of various considerations. There is a disqualification of director statute in chapter 49. So that would actually prohibit Amanda from serving, which as she's been elected, I'm sure she probably doesn't want to be prohibited from serving. There is a term of art that is within that specific portion of the water code. And it talks about anyone providing professional services to the district. Usually when you see professional services anywhere in code, that is a specific and explicit reference to chapter 2254 of the local government code, as David Johnson knows. So that, now those professional services are landscape maintenance guys. Strangely enough, not lawyers, but engineers, and a lot of professionally licensed folks. So that was my, architects, and maybe dentists, it's a strange collection of lists.
Everybody's got a state license.
When I was reading that list, I was like, well, I'm not seeing anything in here about technology, and so I thought it would be kosher for Chris to continue. But when you go further into the water code, you see other references in the use of that phrase, not a reference to 2254, but actual, professional services. And at one point later on in the water code, it actually says technology. So we have concluded that I don't think we can keep Chris around, unfortunately, assuming Amanda does want to serve. So I visited with Chris, and this is all very recent. We did this research this afternoon, and it was going, as I explained to Chris, this was kind of my second look at it, because I was connecting dots in my head and said, we better run actually down this one phrase. So unfortunately, I don't think we're comfortable and can't keep Chris around, but luckily we have George. I've been assured by Chris, let's do his thunder here, but he is, obviously has been bringing George up to speed. I think is willing to help him out, making sure he's in the right place, so.
So George, we're thrilled to have you, but son of a, I hate to lose you. We absolutely, you've done so much for us, and hopefully he can help George if he has any questions, we just can't pay him, right?
That's right, and I have told that to Chris, no pressure, but he is willing,
Yeah, he can do it for free, but,
So, we don't expect that,
yeah.
for sure.
But, George, we are cool, I'm not trying to steal your thunder. I didn't know any of this, last time I talked to him, we're all good, so I'm like, oh, okay, next.
I think that's everything in legal.
Code of ethics, everything there. Board subcommittees, y'all, we will discuss that in November, so let's be prepared, think about it.
Don't wanna move before.
Yeah.
Tonight.
Future board meetings, our next meeting is November 12th, so please remember that. And final, before closing, I am very excited to have some cake and champagne, two of my favorite things. But Cecilia, I do honestly, female to female, former president, I absolutely have appreciated the lessons you have taught me, good and bad. And thank you for everything you really have done for this district. I hope you know I really do appreciate it.
I do, thank you very
Yeah,
much.
sincerely. Yeah, and when you're talking about that was probably one of our first conversations when we met some crazy, some lady out in the pavilion, you're like, just let it roll off your back, so. That was really good, so, okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second, all right.
Yeah, would that be a motion?
Oh, shoot, I was gonna do something else, wait, back up.
Make a motion to reconvene.
No, I completely messed
Or
this
make a
up.
motion to reconsider.
I'm actually gonna pass the gavel down to Cecilia and let
Okay.
her adjourn the
So
meeting.
make a motion to reconsider that vote, or is that-
Damn, back in the shoe, huh?
Yeah.
Alright, we adjourn this meeting.
I'm so sorry, I forgot that.
That was sweet. That was sweet.
You guys kicked me under the table, I'm moving.